And then I started to get PTSD, dreaming that I was back in Iraq.
Really?
And that just got worse and worse. And in 2013, I literally broke. I had a mental breakdown, and I had to go see Army counsellor. But that for me...
So the Army was still supporting you 3 years later?
Yeah, well, it was more, one of my mates who was in the Army told me I had PTSD, and I was kind of in denial. I was like, I haven't got PTSD. I haven't been in sort of any life-threatening situation. And he was like, you have. He said, them dreams that you're having of being in Iraq over and over, it's a form of PTSD. And he gave me a number basically of the Army welfare.
Hey! Welcome to another episode of Paul Mort Talk Shit. And today I'm talking shit with my man, Stephen Green, and let's not forget the main fucking man, young vanilla gorilla, Mr. Mac Reader. Mac, what you saying?
Hey.
Are you excited?
I'm excited. I'm very, I'm looking forward to this.
I'm excited. Mr. Stephen Green, welcome to Paul Mort Talk Shit.
Thanks, mate. How are you?
Mate, I'm excited. I'm super excited about this because I first heard of Stephen, actually. This was mad how I heard of Steve. I heard of Steve when I spoke at Expert Empires and Andy Harrington said, you need to hook up with this guy, Stephen Green, because he's doing some mad shit. And I met you. Then I met you a few months later when I was named Master Coach of the Year, FYI, everyone
That's
listening.
right, yeah.
And I met Stephen, and then I followed him on Facebook, and I was like, wow, this fucker is as mad as me, if not madder. So, and what I love about Stephen, he's got a little bit of everything. Like, he's got so many stories that I can't wait to tell, and he's a successful property millionaire, which is amazing. So, mate, I've got so many questions I want to ask. So many questions, but we'll have to frame, like, who you are, essentially. And I actually don't like asking this question because I already know, but I've got to remember the guys might not have any idea who you are. So who the fuck's Stephen Green?
As you said, I'm probably a crazy fucker like yourself. I don't know if it's the area that we're from. Maybe it's the air in the north or something like that. Or
well, the area where you live is a little bit different in here. You've got all that smog and that there.
Well, I was thinking that when I came over. I thought, what a shithole.
You must have came the Coast Roadway, yeah?
Nah. So I'm at... I was somebody who had a lot of shit, I would say, in my childhood, and that's been my biggest driver. I believe, and we've talked about this obviously already in terms of your story. My story, I think when somebody feels good, you're in line with your story, what you believe to be true. And when you're not, that's when there's this confliction.
Yes.
And
turbulence, I love that word. Turbulence. Yeah. All this turbulence, yeah.
So basically, when I was a kid, my dad was my hero. He was this big, strong, fit bloke. So that was my story of how a guy used to be. But I was the complete opposite. I was 5'3" at school, smallest person in the school. Literally, just tiny, skinny, weak.
Really?
So for me, I had a big ego issue with that. There was, I could laugh with my mates and stuff like that, but deep down it used to piss me off, and that really drove me to sort of want to silence people and say fuck off.
Yeah, I love that. So that was school, and then did you join? Because I know you've been in the military. Did you join military straight from school?
No, I didn't know. So I followed my mates. I worked in a shop for a bit, in a health shop. Then I went into plumbing. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. Just followed my mates about, as you do. And then I had a relationship that I split up with this lass, probably my first serious relationship. And I just thought I want to get out the area. Yeah. And I was going to go work on a cruise ship.
Really?
Yeah, I just thought I just need to be out the area. And one of my mates said, why don't you join the army? And I just thought, fuck it.
Yeah. And how old were you then?
20.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
And where did you, what's that whole story? What?
So literally the next day, we were stoned that night, as we used to be around them times. Yeah. So next day, all the lads were laughing, going, fuck off, you won't go in the army and that. And then I just knew that night I'd made my decision. I thought, I'm going in. And
sounds like that fuck you mentality popped up again.
Definitely,
yeah. Oh, you said that I can't do it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay then, watch this.
I think by then, though, things had changed a bit. I'd started to put a bit of weight on. I'd started to train and things like that. And I was feeling a lot more... to be honest, I was always fairly confident. but I guess I just started to believe in myself a bit more, and went in the army. It was quite quick. Followed him in. He didn't end up fucking going in. He basically took me down on that. He'd started the process. He didn't end up going in, and I went in, and it just sort of all changed from there. Really, just really opened my eyes to a different world.
Yeah. And did you tour?
Yeah, did Afghan, Iraq, Oman, Kuwait.
Shit. So how long were you in for? Like total?
11 and a half years.
Ooh, fucking hell, you're playing this off as...
He is, he's trying to push past it, isn't he? He is. I love that about our guests sometimes, when they kind of just go, like, they're just really modest and that. They're super modest about it. Like Anthony Crawler, right, remember he said, I do a bit boxing. I said, who are you, Anthony Crawler? He said, I've done a bit boxing. I'm like, mate, you are champion of the fucking world. You fought Lomachenko and Nares and that. And he said, he also had an incident in his career where he fractured his skull and broke his ankle when a burglar smashed a paving stone over his head.
I remember reading.
He said, I hurt my ankle and I cut my head open. I'm like, bro, come on, man. So the army thing, you're in for 11 years, you do all this touring. How was that?
It was a great experience. It's something that I would recommend. If I had my time over, I'd do it again. Really? But you're exposed to things. I had a really difficult time. So in 2003, in Iraq, it wasn't the most... It wasn't particularly what we sing. It was just the environment. So I'd already been to Afghan, but when we went to Iraq in 2003, we were the first ones to cross the border cross Kuwait into Iraq, and we were given 4 litres of water a day. And when you're in 50-degree temperature, carrying body armour, weapons, and your 4 litres, that's to drink with, shower with, brush your teeth with.
Shit.
Hell.
Yeah, so all of that goes out the window. That 4 litres wasn't even enough to drink. Like, you're pissing dehydrated. Because there's no supplies. You're the first one out there. And everyone just had the shit sickness. And I lost a load of weight. I went down to about 10 stone again. Shit. And that self-image again of coming back of... I'm going back into this skinny kid that with insecurities and that really fucked with my mind. Like, it's... So
how did you handle that? Like, what kind of...
I didn't handle it very well, to be fair, and that resulted in me looking down the barrel of a weapon and considering blowing my head off. Yeah.
Oh, shit, bro.
Yeah, so I was pretty low. I didn't tell anyone. I kept it to myself, but it was like, looking now, it was nothing to do with the place or what was going on. It was all my insecurities of I'm going back to this
the kid at school.
To this kid at school that was ill. And
so we left the army in what year?
I left the army in 2010.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow, so I thought it was longer ago than that you left the army. So we left the army in 2010. What was because we hear about this a lot, right? Everybody, you get the guys that really fucking struggle that had been in the army and gone into civilian life. What was that transition like for you?
Yeah, really bad.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was going really well. So when I first got out, I was already in property. I was already doing well, so I pretty much knew my path.
So you started the property in the army. What got you into that then?
I started to put money in a bit of ISAs and that. You get financial advisors come round on the camps and start to say, like, look, you should be putting some money away and things like that. And my dad was always that sort of, had that mindset of saving and things like that. So I put some things in a couple of ISAs. Yeah. And I just started to look at other things. I've always been entrepreneurial, like selling things on eBay and motorbikes and cars. I've always loved that trading. Yeah. So I just started to look at property, and I ended up just sort of falling into it. So when I came out, I was already quite well established. I was making money from flipping property, and it was going well. But I think one of the things in the army that I missed was not being around my mates when they were watching footy matches, drinking through the week and things like that.
Yeah.
And I went down that road. I basically started to drink, and I got to the point where I was going out 5-6 nights a week. Yeah. And I just spiraled. My granddad died, which was the trigger for me, and I know that now. And then I started to get PTSD, dreaming that I was back in Iraq. Really? And that just got worse and worse. And in 2013, I literally broke. I had a mental breakdown, and I had to go see army counsellor. But that for
so the
me,
army was still supporting you 3 years later.
Yeah, well, it was more, one of my mates who was in the army told me I had PTSD, and I was kind of in denial. I was like, I haven't got PTSD. I haven't like been in sort of any life-threatening situation. And he was like, you have. He said, them dreams that you're having of being in Iraq over and over, it's a form of PTSD. And he gave me a number basically of like the army welfare, and I rang them, and they just literally linked me with someone straight away. And said, you've got PTSD.
And does that still pop up now for you, or have you got...
No, I literally... them 4 sessions that I had, because that was it literally,
Really?
I cried my eyes out every single session. So I was just obviously burying all that shit. And I've always been like that with my emotions anyway, of suppressing them. And for me, it just all came out, the whole lot.
I think that emotional release as well, of like actually crying. It's a physical. It's a physical.
You know, an amazing analogy I heard. It was in this book called "Why Good People Do Bad Things" by Debbie Ford. An analogy I heard about these emotions was that it's like when you're on a holiday in a pool and you push a beach ball under the water. You push it down and there's pressure pushing back at you, and it's fine until you like the angle changes a little bit. Then all of a sudden you fucking explodes, and the beach ball comes up. There's fucking water all over the place. That's one of the best descriptions I've heard of, like particularly men's emotions. We push it down and we push it down, and all of a sudden it'll just fucking come out and cover everyone in shit.
The thing is, you push it down so slowly as well that you don't even realise until it's ready to pop.
Well, it's not a bloke thing to do, is it, really? Do you know what I mean? We talk about that a lot, like it's not really a bloke thing to do, talk about your emotions and that. Now, actually, I'm sure we'll get onto this at some point. One thing that triggers me about this whole mental health charity day, it's like, oh, we'll just talk. And I'm like, you know, that's just a fucking start, innit?
Yeah.
That's just a fucking start. So was that your first kind of foray into personal development, or were you into it before that?
No, I was actually into it. The first time I was exposed to it was in the army in 2006. And I got told I was doing really well in the army at the time. I was a corporal. I was a senior physical training instructor in the gym. And I got told it was a reward because of me getting really good results. I was going on this training course, and I didn't want to go on it. I was kind of like, why don't you send someone else on it who's not getting results? Like, you're sending me on a course how to get results when I'm getting the best results in the gym with the recruits. And they were like, look, it's not a punishment, we're rewarding you for... and I went on it, and I was an awkward fucker. I said to the guy as soon as I got there, I didn't want to be here and that. And by dinner time, he just completely had me won over.
Really?
It was like...
was it anyone famous? Was it anyone we know? Or was it?
No, it was a guy. I'm still in touch with him now, Mark Woodhouse. Great guy. He was ex-army himself. And he's the guy who I always say turn the lights on for me, literally.
What were some of the lights then? What were some of the, remembering back then, I mean, you might not remember, but what were some of the lights that he really switched for you?
The biggest thing, I think, was because of my mentality and the way my dad was with me, like thrashing me as a kid, forcing me to go out on my bike and things like that, and really pushing me like physically. When I was a PTI, I was horrible fucker. That's the only way I can put it. I used to just thrash the recruits, and I used to love it as well, because the more pain I could create from them, the better it was. And if the program started off with a 4-mile run, mine would start off with a 7 or 8 mile run, and by the end of it, I just flogged them more. That's the only way I can put it. And when the recruits used to go home on Christmas leave or summer leave, they'd always come back to me, and the fitness had dropped off. So my mentality was that they haven't got that discipline. They need fucking thrashing. And he basically asked me a question. He said, so it's really good you've got your recruits to this level, but how long are you with them out of their 22-year career? And that's when it sort of dawned on me that I was looking after them for 10 weeks. So now what's going to happen for the other 21 and a half years that I'm not there? And he basically talked about empowering them if they're believing it themselves and they've got a big enough reason why to do it, you won't need to be there. And that's when he sort of got my attention. And when I implemented it, he was right. For the first time, I had recruits going home on leave, and they were coming back fitter because we taught them the reason of the benefits of it.
Yeah, nice. So you start. It sounds like you figured out this whole thing of if you can get them to find this leverage for when you're not there. Because let's face it, right? There'll be quite a few personal trainers listening to this, right? We all know that hour in the gym doesn't make that much fucking difference, really. Yeah. It's the other fucking 23 hours where your decisions will lead to your fucking results.
Definitely.
So it sounds like the exact same thing. So that was your first step into personal development. Then we've left the army. We've had some sessions. Then what was next for you? After that, was that did you then go all in on property, or was there anything else?
I came out the army quite bitter, being honest. Yeah. I was doing really well. I was promoted sort of before my peers and things like that. And I was overlooked on promotion because of a mistake that an admin clerk made. They didn't put a particular course that I'd done on my report. So when it went up to the board to get looked for promotion, I was overlooked because I didn't have this particular qualification, and I was really bitter about that. You
did have it.
Yeah, I did have it. Yeah, and that held me back in my career, and that pissed me off. I didn't have the skill set I have now, and I was quite bitter about it at the time. And then we went to Kenya, and I got shafted over there. I wasn't really looked after, and I just thought enough's enough. I'm coming out.
And looking back now, I love the fact that you mentioned that skill set thing. Looking back now, would you say that Clark that didn't put that in, blessing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
So let's touch on this word that. Well, funny enough, I'm working on this book right now, and that they're interviewing me quite a lot because it's an Audible exclusive, and they keep asking me questions like, "What are your regrets and how do you feel about that?" I'm like, I'm looking at it, and I can't think of like why would I regret that incident? Do you know what I mean? Because any of these incidents that has happened, that like I wouldn't be here doing this now if I didn't fuck that up.
Yeah.
If I didn't fall out with that person, I wouldn't be here. If I didn't tell them to fuck off, if I didn't get arrested for that, I wouldn't be here. Do you know what I mean? It's like I see that now. So you mentioned the word skill set.
Yeah.
Right? And I've heard you talk about this so many times. I mean, you've talked about it when I came on your podcast. This idea of that mindset is essentially skill set. Yeah. Right? So let's just open that up a little bit. Because I love the fact that you've said the skill set, and everyone thinks that's like tools. I'm good at certain things, but just explain this concept of mindset and looking after your mental health as a skill set.
Yeah, I mean, this can upset people when I talk into this, and it's probably why you're fucking asking.
Yeah, it is. Mate, you can't upset anyone on my show, man. Fuck me. It was said it all, and you haven't.
Just about.
Yeah. The thing is with any mental health, and I can talk into this because I've suffered from it myself and I've lived with it, is all mental health is a lack of skill set. And it's like things like, if you take things like overwhelm, for example, and stress, that's a lack of being able to prioritize. So for me now, I have my 5 a day and I focus on one thing. So I say, how can I possibly be stressed or overwhelmed if I only have one thing to focus on? And what I used to do, and I see it in other people, is they create these fucking massive job lists, and you just look at the whole thing and it's like, fuck me, I've got like 50 things
I say this all the time. It's impossibly overwhelmed by a list on a piece of fucking paper or your phone. You can't be overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
Like, if you've ever had a fight, you know what overwhelmed fucking feels like. You know what I mean? That's the only thing you can get overwhelmed by. So we've got the skill set of dealing with overwhelm. Come, keep expanding on this.
Yeah, man. So
I won't interrupt you anymore.
I just think, I think everything like that, I think in terms of stress, worry, I think just everything in life is down to a lack of skill set if you're struggling from mental health.
Yeah.
And I just teach people now to clean up your life. Take all your fucking notifications off your phone. Don't wake up and jump on your emails. Don't jump into the demands of life. So I just cut all of that out now. And it's people often say to me, how do you have 10 businesses and all this stuff going on and 30, 40 members of staff and you must be stressed to death. And I'm not. Like, every day I love getting up and I don't have any stress because...
You know, John DeMartini says this, that you have a life that's full of challenges that inspire you, because he says that if you don't seek out challenge that inspires you, you attract challenges that don't. So all of this thing that you've created, you've chosen that level of stress. So that's probably why you don't feel stress. Yeah,
but this is the thing that I think that people have got. This is the bit they've got wrong, is people run away from the problems, and what they're not looking at is that problem is your greatest opportunity to fucking grow. And it's so for me now, I tell people physically if somebody wants their problems, if they're wishing the problems away, what you're basically saying is, I want to stay in this position my entire life, and I don't ever want to grow and move forward. I don't want my life to improve. So I say to people, like, when you've got that problem, it's looking at that. It comes back to the Albert Einstein thing of, we can't solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. Like, for me, that quote it sums it all up. You have to have problems. And
well, the thing is, I think a problem-free life doesn't exist. I think that's people's biggest problem. I think they shouldn't have them. And I think the problem-free life doesn't exist. And even if it did, would find a way to fuck it up. Like, would find a way. I'm like, your brain's a problem-solving fucking tool. So if you're not going after problems and seeking out problems, if you like, your brain will fucking find them anyway in minuscule shit. Like, you know, like tiny bits of shit. Like, people arguing about who's got a mask on in the gym and that. I'm like, I don't want to talk about Corona, but I'm like, the people that are busy doing shit, that haven't got time to argue about that. Because they're too busy solving fucking bigger problems than that kind of bullshit. You know what I mean? And actually, I made a post about this the other day that fits with this. Someone sent me something that was like, it was like one of those things that gets shared across social media. And it listed all these medications, right? I can't even pronounce. One of them was fluoxetine, which was the first medication in 2014 that I'd ever been given. It's a fucking, it's a antidepressant pill. And label all these meds, and it said, you know what, sometimes people just need these meds. And it just listed all sorts of things like, people with mental health problems think if someone doesn't text them back, they start worrying about what it means. If someone doesn't say I love you, they start worrying about whether people love them or not. And it was all these things. I'm like, those aren't mental health issues. No. That's a fucking lack of skill set. All I said is just bad mind management. When you worry about what people are thinking and you start thinking, why is he looking at me like that? That's not, for me, in my humble but accurate opinion, and you can disagree with him if you want, that's okay. I get that some people might want to be temporarily on these meds because it's the only way they can raise themselves. But I'm like, those aren't mental health problems. I'm like, everyone at some level worries about what people think. Even if it's just a worry about what the wife thinks or what the kids thinks. And for me, it's a good thing. Everyone at some level sometimes wonders, why isn't a reply to me text? I'm like, that's not a mental health issue. Like, would you say that's a lack of skill set, right? Yeah, that's all down to self-image, literally. I have a cycle that I teach, and the self-image is where everything's stemming from, and the whole thing. And it's like that, like you say, that people are far too concerned about what people think about them. That needing that validation and approval is what holds everyone back. And do we think that comes from childhood? Yeah, and I also think that is one of the last skills that people get. So if you look at somebody who what I would call is got that inner peace, the not being concerned what people think about you is usually one of the last skills that people get. It's the hardest one to get, I think. Yeah, I love that. So
I heard I think his name was Joey D, some YouTuber. And I was listening to his thing the other night, and he's on about confidence. Like, he's like, how are you so confident? How are you so confident? You've never, well, I don't know about you. You've probably always been that confident, but confidence is something you earn. It's like, but people just see it as, oh, he's confident. He must have always been confident. I don't think confidence is a personality trait. It's a fucking skill set. It's something, It's I've created this amount of confidence. I haven't always been this confident. I mean, listen, if you try and find a photo of me or a video from me from 2013 or 14, I was nowhere to be fucking seen. I really struggled. If everyone's like, have you got any fat photos? I'm like, well, I didn't like getting me photo taken when I was fucking fat. I didn't like doing videos when I had no fucking confidence. So talk me through this process then. Just give the guys some insights on this. What are some, because we get this all the time, like, this is all well and good, but where do I fucking start? Where could we start? Where could somebody start with getting a handle on this self-image thing?
Well, I have a number of models. So the self-image thing, basically, in a nutshell.
You know what Stephen's just said there that I love? He's got a number of models. And the way that I see this, it's like what he's saying is he's got a big toolbox.
Yeah, that's what they are,
Quite a big tool, probably. But you've got a few tools that you can pull out anytime you like.
Yeah.
Anytime we're struggling with this a little bit, or something that maybe you're working every day. So talk us through this.
Yeah, so your self-image is impacting your beliefs that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Your beliefs are controlling your thoughts. Our thoughts are controlling our emotions. Emotions are controlling decisions. Decisions are controlling actions. Actions are controlling results. And results feed back to our self-image in a nutshell.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's, dude, I love it. I love it. So where do we start?
So there's a number of ways you can start. So I can physically look at someone, and when they speak to me and they share their beliefs, I know what results they're going to get before they've even fucking taken action, because the results are going to be in line with them beliefs.
Yes.
And vice versa, if I see somebody's results,
I think all of these beliefs, all
head.
of these things that you're saying, I think are just some version of it's different for me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, on the other end, like I say, you can see someone's results. I know where they are in their own head. I know what type of beliefs someone has by looking at the results that they're getting, because them results are going to be in line with that. I give someone a bit of tough love today. Brian will probably listen to this, to be honest, and he's just done some work with me, and I have my main model is my discipline model, and it's a 10-step model on mindset. And one of the key things is the I am, which I believe are the two most important words.
It's in the top right-hand corner of the journal that we use inside of Unstoppable, top right-hand corner. I am.
Yeah. So he wrote something saying, I'm not feeling good today because it's my first day back at work. Does anybody know why I'm not. What did he say? I'm not feeling good today. I want to be back to that feeling that you gave me last week. Maybe it's because I'm going to work, and it's like, you're feeling shit because that's your story. Your story is, I'm not feeling good. So them emotions.
Well, the statement wasn't ever. You probably said the statement's not I am not.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's an I am statement, not an I am not statement, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. And I think that what we're saying here is that, and I get this with people all the time, when I get messages, people tell me how they want to feel. One of the first things I'll ask them is, well, how do you want to feel?
Yeah.
Not like that, how you feel right now is the thing, but when you focus just on what you're not, what you haven't got, what isn't working in your life, how you don't want to feel, then you know the deal, mate. You just get more of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be in line with that story. It's as simple as that. Whatever you're going out, and it's a decision. Like I said to him, Brian, happiness it's a state. It's not a destination. It's make a fucking decision now that I'm happy, and get your shoulders back, put a smile on your face, and fucking just go about life in a different way.
I love it. I was reading the other day, and I said this to my guys the other day, like, happiness really, it's not a journey, it's not a destination, it's quite literally a fucking emotion that you can almost tap into. It's like you can press a switch. And this sounds very simplistic, but I was reading that happiness is almost just a result of like believing or thinking happy thoughts. And that sounds so fucking simple. And I think it was your man Peter was saying something like, the problem that people have is they won't give themselves permission to think these happy thoughts or to feel happy until the outside world gets to a certain place or looks a certain way, then they can feel happy. Yeah. It's a thing, that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that be, do, have, the old... people look at it the wrong way, that I'll have and do nothing's going to happen until you be first. It's the being. So people say, when I have, then I'll do that, or when I do, then I'll...
Or when I have this, then I'll be happy.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
I do that, then I'll be happy.
It's not ever coming, ever, until you can flip it on its head. You have to be it in order to do it and have it. And experience.
And do you know what's exciting about that is we do this thing inside of Unstoppable where like rate yourself in these areas out of 10. And I said, and I'm going to guarantee that nobody's at a fucking 10. Yeah. And that's exciting because once you start getting to a 9, an 8, your 10 will change. Yeah. And I mean, that's really exciting because for me, I can be happy now, but that doesn't mean I'm satisfied, right? Yeah. Because the 10 is almost like the horizon and I'm chasing the horizon, but I'm not relying on, it's almost like I'm happy. And people used to say this when you were chasing, but like I'm happy in the chase. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the process.
Like I know that I'm never going to hit the horizon. Yeah. I know that. Yeah. The horizon's there for a reason. But I get a buzz when I'm on that fucking chase. Yeah. I'm sure you're the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've that same thing. I tell people enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Because when people say that, or when I've got money, it'll take my problems away, or when I've got money, I'll do more for charity. You're not doing it. It's as simple as that. It's you have to be that person you want now, and the rest will follow. And I understand people can listen to this and maybe get upset going, oh, if it was
it's
that
easy for you.
Easy
it's different for you. It's different for you.
It literally is that easy.
Yeah.
It's just and this is why when people come and work with me and they walk out and they go, I've been on medication for 20 years. Like, how come I feel this good now? Because you've got the ability to access that state at any given time. And I just show them how to like you saying, they don't give themselves permission to. I just show them how to tap into that. And it's there, it's available at any given moment.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a decision, and it's simple, and what's another thing it's almost like a switch, right?
Yeah.
I get this all the time on Instagram. What's the biggest lesson you've ever got? And I'm like, I change my mind day to day on this, but one of them definitely is that I'm always in control of how I feel.
Yeah.
Unless I'm fucking blaming somebody else. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless I'm blaming somebody else. As soon as I'm blaming somebody else, I am completely powerless. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I'll still go, what a fucking cunt he is. What a fucking arsehole he is. But it's always when I'm fucking tired.
Yeah.
That's the only time I'll ever do that, when I'm tired. And then again, even when I'm tired, I've still got to look at how I've ended up here. Because for me, I love the saying, outcomes don't happen by accident.
Yeah.
I haven't ended up fucked, exhausted, tired, maybe anxious by accident, right? Yeah. What I want to ask you now is, this is one of the questions I was looking forward to asking you the most. Did you get yourself addicted to drugs on purpose?
Yeah.
You did. Did you know this about him?
No.
So listen. So I know this about Steve, right? He's done some mental shit, and this is why I wanted to get him on. The most important question I want to ask him. I've got two things I want to ask him about. Talk me through this story that you got yourself addicted to drugs on purpose.
So I want to, this is the reason why I'm doing the world record as well at the moment, is I want to show people what they're capable of, because nobody, I don't care who you are, listen to this right now, and this goes for both of you and me, we are not performing at a level that we're capable of.
Nah, no, we're fucking here.
Nobody is that is listening to this.
Yeah.
And if you think you are, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make a point that take everything away from me. People talk about homeless people and people on drugs, and they go, these are the people that are at the lowest of the low, they've lost the home, they've lost the way in life, they've lost everything. So I went, right, let's try and replicate that situation. So I basically...
Only a madman does this fucking thing, by the way.
So I basically went homeless, went on the streets. I left my missus said, look, you at least need to take your mobile phone so we know you're safe. And I went, I'm having no mobile phone. Fucking homeless people don't have mobile phones. I'm having nothing, no backpack, no nothing at all. So
dude, is this bad?
Didn't
the other
take
day,
anything at all.
Dude, the other day, you can tell me this. The other day, I'm walking down King Street. It just popped up in my head. And I see this guy saying, I'm begging for food. I'm hungry. He's got a sign. I'm like, bro, he was fat.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro. Like, I wouldn't, normally I'd be like, you know what, I'll give 50 pence or something. I'll buy the big issue off that mad lady who says I'm sexy. I only buy the big issue.
Well, they do get loads of food, to be fair.
But I'm looking at the guy, I'm like, mate, you're not hungry.
Yeah.
Like, you're not fucking hungry. Anywho, sorry. Sorry, mate. So you went homeless?
No, because that point you're making there, you are given a lot of food on the streets. Like,
really?
Literally, on a night, I would sit with the homeless people, and we would share stuff out, and they're throwing stuff in the bins, because you get that much stuff given to you.
Really?
In Leeds, you do. They're really giving on the streets in Leeds.
How did you end up in Leeds, by the way? Were you living there at the time?
No, I wanted to be out the area, so I couldn't just walk home or contact anyone. So I thought, right, if I'm over an hour away from home, I wanted to make it hard for myself.
Yeah.
So basically, went on the streets. I had to get a haircut. I had to get new clothes, get a job, and get somewhere to stay. Now, people say to me that it's obviously that the homeless people are suffering from, they've got these real issues because they're on things like heroin and spice and things like that. Yeah. So I got myself addicted to heroin. The first night that we...
Bro, I thought you were going to say like a fucking...
I thought you were just saying he was doing buckets. He was having buckets around the corner and fucking smoking a few joints and that.
That's no shit.
My media manager, Dean, he was fucking, he was sweating buckets the
Holy
first time.
shit, man.
Because we didn't know where to go to do it. So we had this guy who we got it off, and we literally pulled over in this lane. And you don't see that in the documentary. You obviously just see us doing it. Yeah. But we literally drove around for about an hour, paranoid, like, where the fuck do we go do this? Yeah. And we found this sort of little lane and pulled over. And this guy that we were doing it with, he was basically setting it all up and burning it. And I remember, like, I'm really good at controlling my emotions, and I was fucking anxious. I was thinking, like, because a few people said to me that, what happens if that mindset you've got now, what happens if you never access that back again?
Yes.
And that went through my head, and I was like, I cannot fucking own that story, otherwise
because that's like the heroin's like the thing that's like it's often when people cross it, there's no fucking coming back, right? Yeah.
So I always knew I could get off it. It was just, would I ever return?
You knew before you did it that you knew you could get off it. But yeah, there was doubt.
Yeah, because I knew that when it wears off.
What made you follow through?
What, and do it?
Because you didn't have to do it.
I wanted to feel it for real, and I wanted to be in that situation. And so doing it that first sort of night, when I'd done it, the first couple of sort of lines that I'd done, I was feeling it a bit, and the guy said to me, he was quite honest, he just went, look, you haven't done enough. He went, if you want to do this properly and you want a proper experience, you need to start fucking taking it back properly. And I just looked at myself and I thought, I'm copping out here, and I just thought, fuck it, give us it here. And I just sort of went for it. I did about 10 lines of this stuff, and I was completely fucked. You see that in the video, you see my eyes and stuff like that. But people say to me, well, the big difference with you is you've got the positive mindset, but that was the whole thing I was proving, that I'm on the street, I've got no money, I'm addicted to heroin. The difference is what's going to get me off the street is my mindset. That was the whole fucking point I was making.
So you didn't give yourself an easy out, you didn't have your phone, you set some rules for yourself. Yeah, you set some rules for yourself. I can't do this, I can't do this. So you were saying I had to find somewhere to live, I had to have new clothes, and I had to get a haircut. And those couldn't be from people that you already knew. It couldn't be access to a bank account or anything like that.
Nothing.
So walk us through.
How long did it take?
So I always believed that I could do it. I always believed that I could do it I was going out there with the intentions of 7 days.
7 days?
Yeah. Now, my team said to me that they believed I could do it, because they went, you fucking Steve Green, you're just going to make it fucking work. But we don't think you'll do it in 7 days. In the back of my head, I thought I could do it in 48 hours, deep down. And I said that to them the day I went out. They were like, look, what happens if this turns into a month or 2 months? I went, look, when I decide to turn it on, this will get done in 48 hours. And they were like, fucking hell, they didn't believe I could do it in a week. So now I'm telling them I could do it in 48 hours. But I got tied up in the whole emotional side of just sitting with people. Like I made friends out on the streets and meeting all of these different charities that were helping people and some really interesting people. And then we got to the point where I said to Dean, like, we'd been out there 5 days, and he was like, when are you going to actually start? You haven't even attempted to do your part. And I said, we'll start in the morning. And we done it in just over 24 hours. So I got a haircut practically straight away. First place I went into.
Really?
And
did you just, what was that? Was that, I'm homeless, can you?
Yeah, I just walked in and I just said, look, I'm after a bit of help. I said, this is the only money I had about 50 pence on us in change. I said, I've got this money here. I said, I'm wanting to turn my life around. I said, I need to get a haircut and some clothes, and I just need someone to give me that start. And the guy, like, he sort of looked at me and that. He was a bit reluctant at first, and he said, come back in about an hour. He said, I've got no appointments. I'll
Dude, that's pretty amazing, by the way.
Sick.
Yeah.
Was that one of the lessons that you got, was that actually people are pretty fucking cool?
Yeah. And I went in and straight away whipped me up, give me a shave and all that. And after it, well, before I told him, he actually said to me, I know somebody who might help you out with some clothes, and he pointed me at the direction of another shop.
Yeah.
And then after that, I come clean and told him what the situation was. And we ended up giving him 10 grand's worth of training free.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
And then getting the clothes was actually harder. The place he recommended, they told me to move on. They wouldn't give me the clothes, and I went into quite a few places and had no joy. And then I went into a place and this guy just fully kitted me out. And Dean, my media guy, he didn't come in with me, and I literally just come out with this full rig on my shirt and my jacket and everything, and he's just like, fucking hell, how have you done this?
Yeah.
And that was literally in the first 2 hours. I'd had my hair cut and these clothes, and I thought, I'm nailing this in the next 2 hours, like the whole fucking lot.
Yeah.
And then it got really difficult getting the job.
Yeah.
And the apartment.
And were you still struggling with was there any struggle with the gear or anything like that, like the drugs or?
Yeah, I was feeling like shit. Because by then I'd stopped doing it the day before, so I'd had over 24 hours and not been on it, and I just felt like shit, like literally.
Did you have any urge to need to do it again?
No,
immediately.
No, not immediately, but I did a few weeks after. I did think about I did think about doing it again, and seriously as well. I actually went through the process in my head, and I thought it wasn't that bad when I'd done it. I thought, like, my life wasn't at risk. I quite enjoyed doing it. I thought I could probably do this occasionally. And then I got like conscious.
You know that point you've just made about doing this occasionally.
Like,
I think, I think this.
What are you thinking?
I think this giving yourself permission to do it occasionally, is a big thing in like modern life. I mean, I got a question. It was actually from Tyson's manager. Sent me a message on Instagram, and he said it was a question, and he said, "Do you think that a lot of men?" He basically sent me this meme of fucking Kermit the Frog that said, posting about your struggles on mental health day and then getting on the booze and sniff all weekend. I was like, wow, that's a very, and we talk about this quite a lot.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a fucking pandemic in today's society, but it's also, and I'm sure you'll talk about this, and I'd love it if you did, it's also quite a difficult cycle to get off. I think a lot of guys they get boozed up and have a sniff on a weekend. They survive the next week. They start feeling better maybe Wednesday or Thursday, and they're like, they get to Friday, and it's like, thank fuck for that. I got through the week, and then it's either a drown in me sorrows, I'm stressed, or I deserve this mentality, right? That's what I see. So obviously that went through that whole, it's not that bad if I do it every now and again, went through your mind. What was your thought process?
It was just getting awareness of them thoughts, and that's when I kind of went, shit, what are you thinking? Because I was genuinely in my head, I thought, well, no one would really sort of know. I could do this occasionally, and quite enjoyed it. And then I just realised.
You know, that's the thing. You know, everybody slates drugs and that. We slate drugs and that, but I'm like, if someone hasn't got a big enough reason why not to do it. Like when I was young, there wasn't any reason really why not to do it. I mean, you think about this, same with booze. Like, if we're not aware of the consequences and there's not a big enough consequence and a big enough payoff than not doing it, you gotta fucking do it. I mean, when I was 18, 19, I could fucking get boozed up, get full of fucking ease, and then go and play fucking football for an hour and a half on a Sunday morning. No fucking problem. But then as I got older, it got worse, and then I realised the consequences. So, mate, I totally fucking hear that. Totally fucking hear that. And I think it is a big problem in today's society, like this mentality of, oh, well, it won't be that bad. It's just a one-off. It's just a... And again, I'm not calling anybody out on this, but you know if it's not fucking working for you.
Yeah.
You knew that wasn't going to work for you, really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. So once I got the haircut and the clothes, I then had to get the job and the apartment.
Yeah.
But getting the job was really hard because I couldn't use a CV or anything like that.
Yes.
And I got offered work.
You'd probably still be unemployable anyway. I would be a fucking CV. I mean, what you taught do you mean cardio?
Well, most people I went in and like some bar people were like, oh yeah, we've got a job, a position here. Yeah. Have you got a bit of a CV so we can see what you've been up to? And because I couldn't, and they were going, where have you come from? And I couldn't really,
Yes.
I was like, oh, I've come from Middlesbrough. Oh, what you doing here? And then I'd start, because I was lying, I'd start stumbling, and
Yes.
I'd go, oh, well, I just wanted to get out of the area. And they would just look at me, and you could see they were thinking, fuck off, there's something not right with him. And I was just getting rejection. I literally, and frustration came out, and you see that on the documentary on the Homeless Millionaire. I literally started walking down the streets and going, excuse me, does anybody know of any jobs going, like at all the bus stops and things like that?
Really?
Eventually, I give in on that night. I thought, right, I'm not getting a job tonight. All the shops were closed. So we'd sacked it. I said, right, look, I'll have to get out these good clothes. And it was draining because I was on such a roll, and I thought I was going to nail it. I thought, right, I'm going to have to get out of these, put my good clothes to one side, sleep in the doorway again tonight, and start again tomorrow. And we were walking back, and I was a bit deflated, and it's not me at all to be like that. And I thought, fuck, this is harder than what I thought it was going to be. I'd underestimated it. And walking back, we seen this group, Helping Hands, and they were giving food out to the homeless. And I just went over, and I thought, oh, well, we'll do an interview with them. At least we'll make the most of it. Got a bit of food off them, which was nice. And got literally speaking to this woman, and told her that I was homeless, because I had that's what I had to say. I was homeless, and I was looking for a job in an apartment. And she said, well, look, tomorrow I might be able to help you out. So we ended up at this house that night with these couple of people we didn't know anything about or anything. And the next morning they rang up and went, we can give you a job and an apartment. Or are you definitely off the drugs? And I said, yeah, I'm off now, I'm clean. So I went to this house, and literally, like, this could only happen to me. I gets to this house, and the job was, this woman she'd rented her property out, and somebody had used it to grow marijuana in it. And honestly, it was...
Hang on, and they put a homeless person in to go and deal with that.
It was the worst smell I've ever smelled in my life. The guys who'd rented it had purposely left fish and stuff in all the cupboards, like raw fish, and it was
really
try to get rid of the smell.
Smell of weed.
No, they just shafted her basically, and not paid the rent. And I don't know exactly what had happened, but.
Going to say replacing marijuana with fish probably isn't the best.
The smell of both of them, and there was maggots. I opened up this fridge and the freezer, and the whole thing, all these maggots, I'm on about thousands just poured out all over the floor. And my job was basically, she said, if you clean all this up, and I think it had something like 200 plants and marijuana in it, and I had to clean the entire apartment out. And she basically said she'd let me stay there for a few months free of charge. And sort of pay me for cleaning it up and that as well. So I nailed both in a wanna. And then after I'd done it, I came clean and obviously said to her, look, this is the situation. And we ended up sending our building team down, and we fully renovated the full place.
Nice. I love that. So what were some of your biggest lessons and insights that you got from that then?
I think the biggest thing was the homeless people. They're not looking for food. They're not looking for water. They get loads of that. They're looking for someone to talk to them.
Really?
With someone to just sit down and acknowledge them that they're there, and not just walking past them. That was the
throwing
biggest,
money and food at them. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating, isn't it?
Is there a sense of like community amongst them?
Yeah, absolutely. What I found was, because again, you're just oblivious to this. It's like we walk around in our own world, and you don't see like the other side of it. So they are really, really close together. They all protect each other. They all share food. I found they were all really giving people.
Really?
But what there was there's a split between homeless people. So those that are on Spice used to rob all of the other homeless people.
Really?
And the ones that are on Spice, they hang out together in a group as well. So you've literally got this divide of two different lots of homeless people, and the ones on Spice are a different level. That they just don't give a shit.
Are they really aggressive?
Spice is nuts.
That is the craziest drug that I've seen, and I've done some crazy stuff and obviously done that. But but I looked at them on Spice and I thought that's a level beyond what I'm willing to go. When you see them on that, it's fucking hell.
Shit, really?
Yeah.
I've seen videos and shit of it, and they're just literally
It's a synthetic drug, that, isn't it?
Yeah, give me heroin any day.
Mate, that's mad. So since then, what other mad shit have you done?
What's happening tomorrow?
Friday.
Oh, is it Friday?
So, Friday, is it?
Yeah, so I've got a world record attempt on Friday. It's not been done, it's been attempted. So I'm attempting to do a full Ironman, and then as soon as I finish it, I start another one without rest. So I'm doing 2 basically back to back.
Why?
So,
Were you on heroin when you thought of this?
You just had a line of Spice.
That doesn't sound nice.
I just have this, one, I had this urge because I've not really pushed myself physically for a long time, and I was very fit in the army, passing P company, getting the maroon beret, being PEI. So I wanted to see what I was capable of. I'm 43 now, was 42 when I come up with this, but I've had this itch for a few years to see what am I capable of physically. So
and you haven't even trained that long really for this though, have you?
No, I've done since I've been out of the army. I've hardly done any cardio in 10 years. I train regular, so I go in the gym 4 times a week. I eat well, so it's not that I don't do anything at all. I am quite fit in that respect. I do cardio in spells, but I've hardly ran in 10 years. So to like turn this back on again is. I just done that much running in the army. I hated it, and when I came out, I went, I'm never running again. So I just asked people.
Before?
No, I've never done an Ironman before. So I spoke to people and I went, what can I do? That's a real challenge. And everyone was saying to me, needs to be an Ironman. That's one of the hardest things you're going to do for a one-day event. The fact that it's the 3 disciplines, you're going to be doing it for 13, 14 hours. And the amount of training that you'll need to do for it. So
a normal Ironman takes 13 or 14 hours.
Yeah.
Non-stop or?
Yeah.
Yeah, non-stop. You go from...
It's 140 miles.
Run, bike, swim, innit? No. Swim, bike, run.
Yeah.
For 14 hours, and then you're going to get straight off the run back into the water.
Yeah, so basically I'm doing a 2.4 mile swim in the River Tees.
Oh my God, bro!
And it's freezing as well at the moment.
Dude, I tell you what, you probably come out with you probably take some heroin while you're in there, like by accident.
It certainly clears COVID.
Holy shit, wow.
And then I've got 112 mile on the bike, and then run a full marathon. And then I basically start again, back in the Tees, another 2.4 mile swim, another 112 on the bike, and then run a second marathon.
Holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
But you don't have a time limit on it, you just got to finish it.
Yeah, I just got to finish it.
You can't put a time limit on that, can you?
No.
Shit. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, good. I've just been putting my food out for it today, so I don't know if you've seen the post earlier. I've got I'll eat 20,000 calories on the event, so practically 10 days worth of food while I'm on that event.
Yeah. And is it mostly liquid or...
No, it's a mixture.
It?
It'll be more liquid when I'm on the run.
Yes.
But on the bike, I'm just literally sandwiches, cheese, peanut butter, really high dense sort of calorie foods and that.
Yeah, nice. And I mentioned it before. You haven't trained for this for that long, though, have you?
No,
you haven't
months.
had 4 months of training for this.
Yeah.
After not running for fucking
10 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And have you had? In fact, I know you have, but have you had many doubters or?
Oh yeah,
most. But you love that, you.
Yeah,
you do love that.
That's the fire, isn't it? It's, most people don't think I'm going to do it, including my dad, who's on my team. So my dad's doing the 224 mile bike with me. He's 65-year-old.
Is he?
Yeah, he's always been. He's a machine.
Yeah.
But he doesn't think I'll do it, and that's from somebody who's.
Do you know what I love about this though? Right. So many people come at me with, oh, well, nobody supports me. Nobody, my wife's not supporting me. My wife's not supportive. My parents don't support me. Everybody's negative in that. Like, you must hear that as well, right?
Yeah, all the time.
And what's your, I don't think, I'm like, well, what do you want them to do? And what would be different if they did?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, well, what would be different if your wife did support you? Well, I'd feel a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like,
doesn't actually change
No.
much.
It doesn't.
It
It's
doesn't.
nice.
It doesn't.
It's just nice in it.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't change the fact that, well, listen, I'm going to fucking do it anyway. You can support me or not. I'm doing it anyway. I've had to do that quite a lot in my life, and my mum and dad didn't support me with anything to do with entrepreneurialism.
Yeah.
I was the first business owner in my entire family history, which was mad. I actually didn't even realize that until I started doing this book thing. I'm like, oh shit, I'm the first businessman in my fucking family. So, but I'm like, well, if they supported me, I would just feel a little bit better. And actually, do you know, sometimes if they supported you, you might not push yourself as hard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I
Because you'd
agree.
have that little comfort blanket of, oh, well, they'll be saying, oh, well, it's all right. You know what I mean? So actually, maybe people not supporting you is a fucking good thing. What you saying about that?
and I know that they want the best for me, because I went round my grandma's the other week, and my grandma said to me, look, you're not going to be able to do it. And she was just basically looking out for me. I know she cares. And the same as my dad, he came around last week and he said, I think you need to start prepping a speech for not doing it. Yeah. And I was like, he said, because he said, it's not being done. He said, and I understand, this is a guy he thinks nothing could do in 100 mile on his bike, nothing at all. He does that like weekly. He'll do 300 miles a week on his bike. And he just doesn't believe that I'll do it. And he said, my concern is, son, you're going to end up with egg on your face. You've put all of these posts out. You're on Facebook. You're talking about it. I'm going to do this. And all of this stuff. You're going to end up with some real egg on your face if you don't do it. But I don't give a shit about that.
What
I
the
genuinely,
fuck does that matter?
I don't care. It's like, as long as I know I've put my maximum effort into that, I'll come off happy with myself.
Worst is you've got a
Simple as
fucking story to tell.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what are some of the, when you're doing this, because you've done some physical training on this, but me and you both know, you might know this as well, that your body won't quit before your mind quits.
Yeah.
So where are some of the places that you go mentally? What are some of the strategies that you have mentally that, and again, I'm putting this in almost athletic terms, if you like, but let's face it, the things that you use mentally, the tools, the skills that you use mentally in that physical arena can transfer quite easily over to other areas of your life, right?
Yeah, so purposely right now I'm using my skill set to kind of piss myself off, as bizarre as that sounds. So I've literally been looking for things where I know people are doubting me, I know people who want me to fail, and I'm trying to fire up that kid that fucking wanted to say fuck you to the world. And it's coming, I'm tapping into that. And there's polarity with that. I need to balance it, because I don't want to go too much into that state, because I'm finding that my normal, very calm self, I'm feeling a bit aggressive inside, and I can feel that, but I'm building towards that, and I'm just going to let that fucking lot go on the day, the whole lot.
I love that, mate. So let's skip right back then. Let's start talking about business, right? Because obviously you've got how many businesses?
10 businesses. Most of them are based around property, holding business in property, and obviously the training business and that as well.
Yeah. So give me some insights into how you are. Matt will ask you this question, no doubt. So I'm not. He'll ask you something about your morning routine. He's obsessed with
already
morning
got
routine.
this planned up in my head.
Well, I might ask it instead of you. He asks everyone that question. I've got a question for you before then, though. Out of all the things you could do with a potato,
With a potato?
yeah, right? So I ask everyone this question, right? So think about, with a potato, you can have roasted potato, you can have Hasselback potatoes, you could have jacket potato, you could have fries, you could have potato wedges. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, where would you put mash?
Oh, it's right up there, mash like.
Oh my God! Mate, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Love it. Love it.
Really, you love mash?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's part of my thing. I'm having scrambled eggs with mash, and that's my treat meal when I'm on the bus traveling.
You know why?
Between
Mash.
Fucking convenient.
It's convenient because it's like fucking baby food, man.
That's good.
Nah.
Mate, you wouldn't believe some of the people who have asked that question. The only person who haven't asked about mash is probably Tyson Fury, because it was the first one.
I know his answer what would be.
He's not eating mash. Tyson's he's too classy for mash.
Too much. He's so busy. He's just got to have it on the
Do you
go.
think?
Yeah.
Nah, he ain't eating no mash.
Chew roasties.
In fact, I'm going to Instagram him today and say, I am going to Instagram him and say what you're saying about mash.
Yeah. Corned beef pie. I love corned beef pie.
Corned beef pie's all right, but mash is trash.
That's poor kids' food, but I love it. I love corned beef pie.
So let's talk business there, right? I've got that mash question out of the way now. Also, what do you think about fizzy water?
Fizzy water?
Sparkling water.
I don't mind fizzy water.
There you go.
I prefer still water, but I don't
Mac
mind
reckons fizzy water, sparkling water makes your mouth dry.
I think there's probably an argument for that.
Oh my God!
I like the little nod of the head.
You two are killing me.
Right.
You two are killing me today. Holy shit, man.
It's not exactly a thirst quencher, is it?
Exactly.
No, I don't know.
Do you know what it reminds? You know them little. Oh, my ma fucking loves them.
And now a few things your man loves.
The little purple sweets that they come in a wrapper.
Oh, Palmer Violets.
Palmer Violet.
Delicious.
Horrible them. They're
Oh
horrible.
my God.
They are horrible.
You know how they leave like that chalky taste in your mouth? That's what sparkling water. Like, it's
my
that dry
goodness.
fucking.
Mate, well, so we've had so far, Ollie Ollerton loves sparkling water. Chris Ramsey nearly fucking walked out. I want to ask him if he likes sparkling water, didn't he? He said he was on Saturday Kitchen, they brought him a sparkling water and he sent it back. Anywho, business. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
I love asking that question. But business, what are some of your strategies? I know you've got loads. What are some of your strategies around managing that many businesses and not losing your shit?
You've got to know what your passion is. It's got to be in line with what you want to do. Absolutely. So, I quote Napoleon Hill saying that desire is the starting point of all achievement. Nothing has ever happened and never will happen without it. So you've got to have that clear desire. Why are you doing it? What's that why? Why are you getting out of bed? What's the driver?
Yeah.
Once you've got that,
and that's created by you, right?
Yeah.
I get people all the time, oh, Paul, I just can't get myself out of bed. I'm like, that's because you haven't created a reason to get excited about, right? And that's just a decision.
Yeah.
Create something to get excited about. And if
Absolutely.
it's not business, it doesn't have to be business, right?
Yeah.
It can be, do you know what? I'm excited about today. I'm going to get to train jiu-jitsu tonight. I'm going to get to go and box tonight. I'm going to get to go for a run. Like, that's your attitude is, I get to work on 10 businesses, not I have to work on 10 businesses, right?
Yeah, I absolutely love what I do. So there's no battle there for me. I don't ever get up and sort of think, I can't be asked. I wake up.
What's your favourite thing about what you do?
For me, it's probably freedom, which is weird, because I always look back and I think, how the fuck did I survive in the army, where the place you've got no freedom and you're told everything that you have to do? And
well, I had this conversation with my book producer the other day, and I said, you know where I think my value of freedom comes from? Because I was trapped in a fucking factory working shifts for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I think John DeMartini has this thing, me and Rob Moore talked about, where he said what you value now comes from like voids that you've had before.
Well, maybe
probably
that's
that.
it. Yeah.
You felt trapped in the army and now it's your biggest fucking value.
Yeah.
So the freedom that comes from it. But you've had to create that as well, right?
Yeah.
Because I bet that when you first started, I bet there wasn't much freedom, right?
no, I sort of started out, and the plan was to buy and flip properties. So I lived in some right shitholes as well. Me and Gemma, like literally, we used to buy a house, completely wrecked, do it up while we were living in it, sell it.
You were doing the work.
Yeah. And then we would go move into another one that was shit.
Yeah.
So my daughter, she'd lived in 3 houses before she was 6 months.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's how quick you were turning them over. So you were doing all the manual shit?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yourself.
Yeah. Nobody wants to do that.
Yourself.
Nobody wants to do that, do they? Everyone thinks, oh, property flip and we'll get all these other people to do it and that. But you've done the actual, what you call being in the trenches as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I used to bring certain trades in, like plasterers and things like that.
Yeah.
But trades my background. Before I went in the army, I was plumbing and roofing, and in the army I was qualified joiner. And then when I came out with all my resettlement money, which the army give, I went to be a qualified electrician.
Yeah.
So I've got all of these skills behind me. So and Gemma loves doing things like that as well.
Yeah.
She
like interior design and all that.
Actually manual stuff. She can fit kitchens, do laminate flooring.
Holy shit. Wow. Do you know how many of these skills that I've got? Fucking zero. It's a good job I can fucking talk in it. I said this the other day. I was in the gym the other day and I basically sat on a shoe rack and fucking sat straight through. It was made of fucking shit he would. And my coach sent us a message. He said, "Did you sit on it?" I said, I said, "I tell you what, I've got shit for brains. It's a good job I can talk." Honestly, that the fact that you've done all of that, that's amazing. Are you still doing any of that?
No, I don't now. It's obviously took a step back from that.
Yeah, of course.
I don't even do the project management now. I have project managers and things like that. So,
what's been some of the hardest things then? Because obviously you've got 40 staff. Would you say that leading staff is one of I'm not even going to say hard, because when you love what you do, there isn't really such a thing. The most challenging things is leading staff, or what are some of the most challenging?
Yeah, it is, especially when you're in construction, because they're a fucking hard breed as it is.
We were just talking about this morning. We were just talking about tradesmen, the thing that they're terrible at, time. Either show up late or they finish late.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever done early in the trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people I work with in the trade area are the more challenging than what they are within my training businesses.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I just think it's that trade mentality, and tradesmen can be the worst ones for fucking bitching as well. And
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I just did a video this morning, actually, that I'd love your insights on this, that I think one of the most amazing skills you can create for yourself is your ability to deal with other people and deal with your thoughts about other people. Because I think that for most people, the biggest drain of their energy, the biggest drain of their confidence, the biggest area of self-doubt, conflict, resentment is just their ability to deal with other people.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a skill that you've got, right?
Yeah.
How have you developed that?
I think you've just got... For me, I remember watching a video, one of John Maxwell's. I don't know if you're aware of John Maxwell.
Yeah, a leader guy.
And he's a great leadership coach.
Yeah.
And I remember watching this video, and it was when my team was actually a lot smaller. So I had about 6 or 7 in my team at the time. And I remember watching this video with John Maxwell, and he was saying that at a lower level leadership style, you will treat your staff differently. And depending on how you treat them is how they will actually behave.
Yes.
And when I reflected on it, I looked at it and I thought, yeah, do you know what? I actually am. And I recognised that some of my guys had come to my house and they'd come round and I'd be like, all right, morning, yeah, do you want some toast and that? And then one particular guy who I'm really close with now, and at the time he'd sort of jumped from one trade to another. And I remember I used to think like, oh, fucking hell, here he is. And he'd come to my door and I'd kind of go, there's the keys. There'd be no sort of morning, you're right, like, do you want toast? And he was one of my team members. Yeah. And I reflected on myself and I thought, you're treating him like a knob. And the reason I was that way is because he used to get a lot of complaints on his job and he'd give me a headache. Yeah. So I just didn't associate that problem with him. And off the back of watching this video with John Maxwell, I literally changed my style with him. I thought, right, let's give it a try. And I started to be more open with him that way and sort of, do you want some toast when he came to my house? And he physically changed just from my... The way that I was with him,
Well, Matt gets the punch fuck out of me 4 times a week. Either fucking strangle me or punch me in the fucking face 4 times a week. What a boss, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
Mate must be the only guy in the world that gets paid for fucking punching his boss in the face 4 times a week.
And a flyer the day.
And a what?
And a flyer.
He's got a flyer today because I've got a book thing later on, so he's getting a flyer to come and fucking roll around in my garage with his underpants on.
Yeah,
I love it. So then,
I've got one on this on the whole freedom concept, because I think I don't know if you coined the frame, but freedom comes from like how well planned your day is. But it's what is it? Because I don't want to butcher it. What you say?
Well, I don't know. I
It's
say loads of things. I can talk for fucking.
Freedom comes from how like structured your day. Like
he loves this. He knows this. Discipline equals freedom.
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about, right?
So being disciplined and
if there's no plan.
Yeah,
you can't be disciplined without a plan, and you can't have freedom without discipline. That's
I didn't want to butcher it because I quite like it.
Well, you did. I want to know how you manage your time.
Yeah.
So I'm really strict with this. So I don't know if you've even experienced this with yourself. So people will message me and they think I'm an ignorant fucker because they've messaged me and they see I've been on Facebook.
Well, this idiot leaves the red. Do you know the red receipt? So I know that he's seen me fucking message, and you know the red receipt on your phone. I'm like, mate, I can't believe you still have that on. By the way, why the fuck haven't you replied?
I've got a reason how you can justify that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I I have no notifications on my phone.
Yes.
My phone doesn't ring. It's been turned off. It's been broke for the last 3 weeks, and I've learned to live without it. I had it on divert for 3 years without anyone even.
I mean, Ed Sheeran, I didn't know this. Chris Ramsey told us Ed Sheeran doesn't have a phone.
Right.
You've got to. He needs his mates. He's got to email him if he wants to get a hold of him. Isn't that amazing? Phenomenal, that.
No, absolutely. I think we get too attached to them. And so I have no notifications at all. I have everything switched off. And then my messages, I actually, I do it in bunches. So if I finish a day's training, for example, so I've been delivering some training, and at the end of the day, if I'm in work mode, I'll go into Facebook and I'll look at my work messages and I'll skip the ones my mates have sent me.
Yes.
And I deal with all my work stuff first, and then I'll go on to my other platforms, say WhatsApp, deal with my work things. Once I've done all that out the way, then I go back to dealing with my mates, for example. So my head's not, I'm in work mode, I'm in friends mode, my phone's ringing, an email's fucking rang, this notification.
You're compartmentalising things.
Yeah, so I won't even, if my phone's on and someone rings me and I'm doing something, I won't answer it because I'm not answering phones right now, I'm fucking doing this. So I'm really, really strict with
And how do you decide, this is something that this is a question that I want a personal answer to as well. How do you decide what opportunities are right? Because we were talking about this before, podcast requests, all that kind of shit. Like I'm like, fucking hell, like I don't reply to every personal message. And part of me, because I'm just a kid from fucking South Shields, like you get people messaging, can I meet you for a coffee? Can I pick your brain? Yeah. Have you got 5 minutes to jump on the phone? And I'm like, like, how are you deciding first off, how are you deciding how to handle opportunities? Which ones to go for, which one not? What's your thought process?
So again, I won't go meet someone if I can do it by phone. I won't ring somebody if I can do it by a text message. I won't text somebody if I can do it by a voice message.
I love that. So fucking simple.
So I want it as short as possible. And I believe in what Warren Buffett says, and being successful is learning how to say no 99 times out of 100. Yeah. So
let's deal with then the second part of this is, which this is the thing I struggle with personally. How are you dealing with, and you might not even have this, because I'm like, fucking hell, mate, I'd really like to meet you for coffee because I like you, but no. You must be the last person that I ever met for a coffee, and then I give you a job. Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel bad about it, but what's your thought process? Like, do you get that? How are you getting around it?
No, absolutely. I get that as well.
Part of you probably doesn't want to forget where you've came from and that you were once in that position. And
so I believe in creating leverage. So I can't go and meet everyone. I get the same as you. I get messages all the time. Can we meet up? Can I show you this business opportunity? Yes. You're going to love this. And I've
sounds like they're selling Herbalife. Whoever sent that message got an amazing opportunity for you. Do you really? Doesn't involve meal replacement shakes.
So I just try, and now if I've got the same question or something like that, I try to put 100 people in a room, and I'll say to people, if you want to ask me questions when I'm running a one-day event, there's 100 people in there. That's your opportunity.
Yes.
And then I can answer a question that another 80 people get the answer.
Amazing.
The same thing.
Yeah, I love that. And I suppose that's why I do this Q&A thing on Instagram. When when they ask you a question, you're asking in 15 seconds. I'm like, that's why I do them. Just ask me a question and I'm just trying to get I'm letting this sink in now, so I'm going to shut up for a second.
What tangible things do you use? So, like, do you use a journal or do you like what do you have it all on Google Calendar? How do you structure things?
So I'm quite basic how I do things. Everything's stripped back again. So I do have a journal, and my journal has my vision in there. It has my 12 primary focus things for the year for each month, my 5 primary things for the year, and then I have my 5 primary things for each month, and then I use my phone, so I literally on notes, and it has my 5 things today, and I ask myself a question every day, and it's, what's the 5 things I can do today that are going to have the biggest impact on both my life and other people's lives? Nice. And that keeps me at that chunked up level every day.
I love that it's a question again, because I was talking about this again on my book. I'm like, questions are, everyone wants the answers, but they're asking shit fucking questions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
Absolutely.
for me, the way that I journal and the way that we journal inside of Unstoppable, it's all prompted journaling. It's not fucking Adrian Mole.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who he is. I keep mentioning Adrian Mole.
Yeah. I've
You
heard
know
of
who he
him.
is, right?
I've heard of him, bro.
He basically had like, if he used to have this TV show, it was like Dear Diary, right? I'm not fucking doing that. But we have prompted journaling. It's all fucking great questions.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember where I read this, but it was questions are the steering wheel of the mind. Like, and I'm like, the question that you ask yourself will, for me, dictate where your attention goes, where your focus goes.
Absolutely.
So I suppose, is that why you're asking that question?
Yeah. One of my own mentors used to say that the quality of your life will always be in direct proportion to the quality of question you ask yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
And I truly believe that.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked that question, because it keeps me working in the important and not the urgent.
And this gets you out of. I don't think a to-do list is good enough once you're past a certain level. Like, you've got your 5 things, but I wouldn't. That's not a to-do list, is it?
No.
Because for me, to-do lists never get smaller. You only get bigger.
Yeah.
So I think for the level that you're at, this 5 questions thing, this 5 things is just it's fucking ideal, right?
Yeah.
And your one thing, what do you do if those other 4 things don't get done? Because there'll be times where you're not getting all 5 done, right?
There's times I don't do all 5, but I know that if I structure it that way, I'll at least do 3. And usually I most times I'm hitting my 5 a day.
Yeah.
But if I don't, I know it's 3 things more than I would have done if I hadn't have asked that question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I love
amazing.
that. I love that.
What? How much did you start when you said you were starting investing when you were in the army? What was can you remember like the first amount that you started to?
Yeah, so the very first investment property I bought, I laugh about this now because it was, I teach people now how to buy below market value, and I bought above market value, so fucking dreadful. So the first property, they were all selling on the street for, the highest was 76, and I went and paid 86.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so...
it's a 10 grand lesson, though. It's a fun 10 grand.
So you're basically now having to make up 10 grand before you're even... before you've even broke even, which is crazy when I think about it now. But again, that comes down to
Valuable
your
lesson,
level.
innit, as you say.
Yeah,
An expensive one.
Yeah, it was. I've had plenty of them.
Them ones normally tend to stick though, don't they?
Oh, definitely.
The expensive ones.
Definitely, yeah. And those are that's one for your fucking book.
Yeah, so I basically was just a little investment property, and I ended up selling it for 10 grand less than I bought it for, and I lost 10 grand on it because I got myself in a cash flow situation, which is why now I talk the importance of cash flow, of that's your only threat in business. If you can manage that, everything else, cash flow will solve the problem of.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And what are some of your biggest challenges right now? Because listen, I'm thinking about this. I'm like, you're running fucking 10 businesses.
Running 2 Ironmans.
And that's what I'm saying. You're training for this thing. You're fucking doing... You're running 10 businesses. You're big. But you know what I mean? I'm like, how does it... Because there'll be people listening in, and we get this quite a lot. Listen, it's impossible. Like, how can you have it all? How can you do all of that? Like, how are you doing all of that? It's a mindset thing, right? Or a skill set thing, as you would say.
Skill set, again, it's about having the right people around you. So... I know that the team that I've got around me and the people in them managership. What's
That's
the
right word.
I don't know, but you
have a fucking
managership.
Yeah,
Stephen Green's got a couple of testicles in his mouth.
I always make fucking words up. My team always rip me.
Managership, yeah, management.
Yeah, basically, in them management positions,
yes.
They're the ones that they're just really good people I've got around me.
Yeah. And I bet it's took some finding to get.
Yeah.
Good people.
It is because I used to come of the mindset of trying to get the cheapest people, and because when you first employing people, it's that thing of, oh fuck, I've got to cover their wage, and what happens if I haven't got work?
Yes,
I'll try and keep it as.
And you see it as a cost.
Yeah,
you see employing somebody as a cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was a big shift for me, because bringing somebody in isn't a cost, because they're actually going to either directly make you more money, or they're going to free up some time for you to go and make more money, right?
Exactly that.
Yeah, that was the biggest mindset shift I had. I used to be like, for 10 years, I'd have like subcontractors here. I'll give you some work if I've got it. If I've got work, I'll give you some.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's only going to get you to a certain level.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
When did you employ your first employee? And when did you know it was right?
So it was when I came out of the army, and the first guy I ever took on was we were doing house renovations, and I had him sort of doing some labouring work for me. He was homeless, to be honest. My brother came to me and he went, one of my mates has been kicked out, he's on the streets. Have you got anywhere for him to stay? So I put him in one of my apartments, and the guy just said to me, look, have you got any work so I can get back on my feet? And I give him a bit of work, and he was a really good lad. He just grafted and that. And then I started to bring him onto the property renovations, and I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to employ him. And I brought him on the books about the same time as I did my sister as well. Yeah. She came on to do a couple of days admin. She'd lost a job at the time, and we just never let her go. She just ended up went into 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and I think once you sort of broke past that, hiring people and also firing people, the emotion, it's taken out of it. You just do what you need to do.
And was that hire was it for your stress, or was it just capacity, or did you need
capacity? Absolutely. So I was just snowed under with paperwork, and I was literally doing everything. I was being the builder through the day, writing the quotes upon the night, trying to sort my own tax things, and it just, like you say, it's just it just doesn't work. You
get to like a ceiling, don't you?
Yeah.
Where you're like, actually, either this ceiling's going to come in on me, or I'm going to have to really fucking burst through it.
Yeah.
One thing that I want to ask you, because we touched on the right people, and I got asked this question, I kind of struggled to answer it actually the other day, was we talk about getting around the right people, having the right people around you, being surrounded by positive people. We talk about your peer group and the standards and that. I'm like, there'll be a lot of people in here who are listening and thinking, well, I haven't got that. I haven't got positive people around me. I haven't got people pushing themselves around me. And my answer on this was, I wasn't allowed to say it actually because of the publishing company, or big publishing company. I was like, well, just join my fucking program. She's like, what advice would you give someone? I said, join my program. But she said, you can't say that. And I said, well, actually, and you agree with me on this, I know this because you'll still be an active member of programs. I'm like, sometimes you've got to realize that to get round people that are playing a bigger game, you've got to put fucking skin in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
Like, I'm like, because you can put me in a group of positive people all day, but like, if they're not doing anything, I'm probably, and you'll be the same as me, we put out a lot of free shit, mate.
Yeah.
We've got people listening to the podcast, we've got people watching my videos, watching your videos, reading your posts and that. But a lot of the time, they just feel a little bit better as a result of it. And I'm like, putting skin in the game could be a fucking game changer. Like, what would be your advice for somebody who's like, I get it now. I get that I need to be around people who can pull me up to their standard. Like, what would be your...
two things on that. I totally agree that putting skin in the game. Yeah. And two, I absolutely request that, because if someone's not willing to, I don't want to work with you, it's fuck off. And that's not because I want to make money from it. It's because I demand that from myself, that I invest in myself at a heavy level. And if you're not willing to invest in yourself, fuck off, I'm not interested, and that's it.
Dude, I got a couple of people. I got a couple of people who wanted me on their podcast, and they got all butthurt when I said, I'll come on your podcast, but you need to give 150 quid to this campaign against living miserably, which I think is an amazing charity, probably the best for men.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, that tells me that you don't value my time, but also your podcast isn't that fucking important.
Yeah, I'd have told them to fuck off.
Well, I would have, but we've got a team that does that, right? But yeah, it does, right? But I think that, and I think it doesn't even matter. I'm like, for you guys listening in, I'm like, I don't care if it's with me or not. But until you it's almost like you're valuing yourself as well, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can watch all these free YouTube videos and listen to podcasts, which, by the way, content's fucking amazing, mate. So thank you for that. Valuable shit. But people listening probably aren't going to do anything with it because there's nothing to lose.
Yeah. And what you were saying there, it triggered something at me. You know Jessen, right? Yeah. Me and Jessen were speaking, and Jessen said to me he will happily invest money, even if he doesn't need the knowledge, just to put himself around, just to make connections.
Wow.
So he has no issue of investing 30 grand to create a connection with someone, even if he knows everything what they're teaching.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That is very fucking interesting, just to get in the room.
Yeah.
Well, mate, people think I got Tyson Fury on the podcast for free. I'm like, you think you're going to get the fucking heavyweight champion of the world after he's fucking knocked Deontay Wilder out in the middle of lockdown on a fucking podcast by sending him a fucking Instagram message? It's not going to fucking happen. But I was willing to put that money in because I wanted that connection. I wanted to start with a fucking bomb. And since then, we've been able to attract way more fucking people.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're just preaching this.
Yeah.
It's like we're fucking practicing this. And I'm sure you've spent... Give me a guess about how much you've I'm not even going to say spent. I'm going to say invested.
Over 100,000.
Yeah.
With Andy Harrington, I've invested a lot, and between me and Gemma, so I done Andy's 35 grand program. Gemma did 20 grand, and then I've done loads of other stuff. I've probably put best part of 100 grand with Andy Harrington alone.
Yeah.
And then Christian, who was one of my other mentors, probably best part.
I think I used to be in a program with Christian. Christian used to be in a program with this guy called John McCulloch, who's a copywriter.
Yeah, that's right.
Evil Ball Genius. I'm pretty sure Christian was in it when I was in.
That's right. Yeah,
but I never actually met him.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you know, because we've said those numbers, guess what? I'm thinking someone's going to say it's all right for you. I haven't got 30 grand to invest, but I'm like, well, invest what you can. That's just a percentage of where you're at right now.
So when I
you weren't investing 30 grand in a fucking program when you first started.
When I first started out, because Gemma takes the piss out of me about this. So I seen this advert, and it basically came up on Facebook. Christian Simpson knows what your business wants. Do you? And I looked and I thought, it's a bit of a bold statement. I'd relatively new in business. Went on there, clicked on, downloaded his program. It was all free, and I'm kind of thinking, fucking hell, this is some real good stuff. All these videos, implementation guide, and I followed it all through. I thought, this is brilliant. I got loads from it. Started getting a return
from the free thing. Holy shit, well played. Because I'm terrible at that. And I never implement fuck all that's free.
Well, that was the big thing he put on here, saying if you're not going to implement, basically unsubscribe.
Oh, so what he did was, you know what he did?
Really
he triggered that fuck you thing, didn't he? In your mind. Well, you think I'm not going to do it, fuck you.
Yeah, I think it was just because he came across really well, and I was convinced that he told us how important that bit was. So I done it, I implemented it, I got a return. I was getting all of these emails, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, this guy's teaching me all sorts. Like, why is he sending me all this stuff? And then I got offered this program for 197, the magic number.
That hasn't got a 7 in it. It's not an online marketing product.
So I literally pondered over it for weeks, and Gemma in the end went to me, for fuck's sakes, it's 200 quid, just fucking buy it.
Yeah.
So I did, and then I got a great return off that. I did a 1,500 quid product. Got a good return off that. I did a couple, about a 3 grand product, got a really good return off that. And then he opened his mastermind group, and I went back into that spiral again of thinking, is it a scam? Was all of these other things to get me to this position? Just all this shit again. And I did take action, and that was 21 grand a year. But at the time, when I took that 21 grand a year, year's worth of coaching, that was a third of the business income.
Wow, was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it wasn't no small decision,
No.
Yeah. But it's...
Oh, it was the best decision that I that's probably the single most best decision I ever made.
Yeah. Do you know what the first personal development product I was ever bought? I was about 22. I lived with my mum and dad, and it was on QVC. And there was this big guy, about fucking 7 foot tall, massive shovel hands, massive teeth, and he was talking about his CD program, Get the Edge. Tony Robbins, fuck me, mate. Honestly, I was actually, do you know, you might know him actually, because he does, I think he's done a lot of Andy's events. Sanj, he owns Ignite events, he does all the lighting and that. Well, I was the first one that had spoken on his new studio, which is incredible, by the way. Shout out Sanj. And he was, I went in his office, and he had all of the Tony Robbins things backed up. And he's like, actually, I do all the sound, the lights, the fucking cameras and that for Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, Andy Harrington. Mad that, innit? Yeah, Tony Robbins, all I need is within me now. Classic. Yeah, bro. I'm like, and do you know what? When I was 22, that was a level of investment that I needed. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, I think even that for a fucking CD,
what I mean.
a CD
still an
box set.
investment.
A CD box set was about 300 fucking quid.
Yeah.
On a payment plan on QVC. It was that one where it counts down. It's like you can't get it after this.
Yeah.
And they had it. Do you know what? That infomercial opened my mind on marketing as well. But that's if you guys are listening, your level of investment doesn't have to be 20, 30 grand. Yeah. No. You're going to invest at the level that you're at. But if it doesn't make you question it, it's probably not a big enough investment. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think people need to get over that barrier. Even if there's free content there, when you physically make that first transaction and hand that money over, it's exactly what you said. You've got skin in the game.
Yeah, and everyone wants a return on their investment. Yeah. So to get the return on investment, usually most people will then do the work.
Yeah.
I love it. So Stephen Green, where can the squad, the listeners, the watchers, the lurkers, the perverts, where can the guys find out more about you and what you do in your courses and that?
So on my website, www.stegreen.co.uk, or if they go on YouTube under my name, Stephen Green, spelt with a V, or the Property Investment Academy, where we do our property training as well. That's pretty much the main things. I've got the book Safe as Houses. You can get a free download of that on the website as
Amazing. I love it. World-class fucking seed in there as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Stephen Green. Thank you.